Okay, it's been a while. I haven't put out a video in over 4 years. However, today I am here to kind of revamp the podcast here. So, hello and welcome to Aspire to Cultivate. This podcast, we explore stories on growth, purpose, and empowerment. And we find individuals from all corners of the globe here. I'm your host, Maurice Thomas Jr. Today we have a very special episode lined up. Our mission here at Aspire to Cultivate is to empower lives through education, mentorship, and innovation. And what we do is we try to bring a better way to do things as it relates to people's experience, their unique journeys, and their insights here. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by our guest, Yohannes. He is a remarkable individual from Ethiopia who has a credible story to share from the rich history of Ethiopia to its vibrant culture and entrepreneur spirit. We're going to dive into what we call, some type of innovation and growth in their world. So, Your Highness, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic, better than I deserve. Thank you so much for having me. It truly is an honor. And just to bounce off your intro here, I think stories are everything. Really, back in the day when we lived in small townships and stuff, the tribe would all gather together, and this is cross culture, and they would tell stories, they would tell lessons, they would tell parables and fables, and wisdom was distributed. Less mistakes were made because you'd hear it from this person and that person. And I've been lucky enough to have a rich enough life experience, even at a young age of 24, to have enough stories to tell most of my friends and impart a bit of wisdom on them. I've been called old, but I take that as a badge of honor because it's better to be old and wise than young and running into walls, which everyone is always going to do.
Absolutely. Oh man, I'm super excited here. So I'll tell you what. I guess I'll start the conversation. I'll start it off by just kind of diving into, kind of like you said there. You dove into how the tribes will deliver information or share information in parables, and things are not lost, or the stories are not changed up as much when it comes from the direct source. So Ethiopia is known for its diversity and resilience. Can you share a bit about your background and what life was growing up there?
So I actually moved to the States when I was about 6 years old in 2006, around 2005, 2006-ish. But any child of an immigrant or anyone that was young and moved here will always tell you that if you listen to your parents well, and especially as you grow up, they'll tell you everything about their story. They'll tell you everything about their past. And it's not like growing up there. Don't get me wrong. I've been there once before when I turned 20. Back in 2021, I moved back for about a month. Visited people, met people. I've lost the ability to speak the language, but I actually have a pretty good ability to understand it when people are speaking to me. So I had one of the village children act as my translator for a good bit of time, and it was funny because their English is fantastic, but my Amharic is terrible. But growing up, you hear a lot of stories about resilience and stuff, and I'm inspired by my parents. Truly, the sacrifice that they did, coming to this country, coming to a great unknown. I know people here that are nervous about moving states. Imagine dropping everything and moving to just somewhere. You know what I mean? And you may know one or two people in that town, but it's not like back home. It's not like with your family. So that unique experience I saw growing up made me value a lot of the little things more.
Absolutely. One of the things that I pay attention to, you kind of just said it, is the values, your values, norms, and beliefs. What inspired you to pursue the path you're on today? And the second part to that is, were there any specific moments that you can recall or mentors that influenced your journey?
Yeah. So right now I'm studying tech, and that wasn't always the case. Let's kind of put the ball back before we throw it for a second, right?
Mhm.
Um, I hear a lot of people tell me I want to find my passion with my work. I hear a lot of young people, they feel like they need to get it right the first time, like their first career is what they're going to do forever. What the first thing that they study or go to school for is the thing that they just do for the rest of their life, and that's
Mhm.
not the case. And it wasn't the case for me. For me, when I got out of high school, I went to school to become an aircraft mechanic, and when I graduated, it was in the middle of COVID, so that sort of lack of a healthy labor market for people who are especially entry level just forced me to kind of pivot towards something that was more ubiquitous and had more opportunity, especially with the area that I live. Big tech is around, and that's kind of where I found my fit. I had a small passion for it growing up, but nothing too explicit. I think when I was 19, going to mechanic school, I built my first PC, which I recommend that everyone do because not only is it a good skill builder, but it's also an amazing thing to mention in a resume for any tech entry level job, especially whether it's hardware or otherwise. But as for mentors, my biggest mentors are actually the coworkers that I met throughout my journey. Oddly enough, and it wasn't some sort of explicit mentorship. It's like go do this, go fix that. It's more so they would open up, they would tell me their life story, they would kind of vent at times, say, if I could go back and do this and do that, I would. Or I met some real successes that were just working for fun, and that was a really strange concept to me when I was 21, where it's like this person is retired and he now works because he's bored. Like what?
Right.
Huh? Like those people had a real impact on me. But growing
Mhm.
up, I think the biggest guiding hand was my parents' focus on academics.
Nice, nice. You said something here around like early on, just being. I think you said you moved from Africa at the age of 6 or 7 there.
Yes.
So being in the States, in your experience, how has America's culture shaped? Um, I would say your mindset. You said something as well as early on you built computers, and that's something that you are recommend that everyone do. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that my director, back when I was a STEM teacher, one of my courses, Intro to Engineering, students will actually build computers. And not only that, in the computer science program as well, they will actually build computers. So they actually have that exposure early on. So that was a great, great call out, Yohannes. But my question to you is, in your experience, um, when it comes to America's culture, it shapes the mindset. How was it moving over here and actually seeing black and brown people operate versus where you're at and seeing black and brown people operate when it comes to their entrepreneur spirit or just their innovative mindset as well? Can you touch on the two?
That is the question of the generation, to be honest with you. When you
Mhm.
come from a different country, and it's kind of odd to say because it's like one can make the argument that you didn't really know your country coming in so young. But I exist in two worlds. I exist in the world of the diaspora that moved to the United States, and I exist in the world of my American friends and the American side to me. It's strange because you're kind of in between. You don't really fit in either category, which I think is very um, it's kind of healthy in a way because the less that you can define yourself towards labels, the more adaptable you can be. But one thing that's unique to the American mindset, and a lot of people kind of downplay this, but I don't tolerate the level of disrespect that they give. Americans are extremely competitive, right?
Yes.
They're extremely competitive when they want to be. When they see that this country truly is the chocolate factory that people move here to cash their ticket to, they
Mm-hmm.
they just kill it. They kill it. I've seen some amazing, uh, native born Americans that have absolutely just flown, right?
Yes.
Where the sort of disconnect occurs is when you come to this country, you're not really here with a lot. You don't come here with a lot of resources. You kind of have to scrounge for a lot of things. and you don't get comfortable. There was this one thing I saw. It was like this guy was he was acting like, no, I'm sorry. He said, for my whole life, I've been living in recession mode, they call it, right? Where he's been living cheap. He's been diligent with his finances. He's been diligent with his opportunities. He doesn't mess around with life, right? A lot of people come to this country, have that mindset. And some people who are born here, especially if they're born into wealth, don't. Here's the issue. They can take it to the nth degree in the wrong way, where I've noticed that people who come here take less risks. And it's mostly because of the fact that some people can't afford to. And I understand that. But when they sort of tell their children about the opportunities here, they don't have the sort of risk-friendly, adventurous position that I see a lot of native-born Americans have. You'll see an American here have like 10 careers and then eventually start a business and then go kill it. You know what I mean? Whereas someone who's an expat or the child of expats will come here, find a career, like fine-tooth comb a career, maybe have 2 careers in their life and just force it and try to make it work and then fulfill it to the highest degree. It's kind of strange. It's 2 different roads to success that I've seen a tendency of these different groups of people take. And, me being in between it, I've seen where they've succeeded and then pitfalls that they've kind of fell into as well.
Wow. You touched on something there around the challenges of just, I don't want to call it forcing, but making it work. They stick to their career and they're really passionate and committed to that. Not being able to, not saying that they're not willing to pivot. They just, locked in with that career there. So we know Africa as a whole face many challenges, but yet it's the hub of creativity and innovation in general. How do you think adversity cultivates growth and opportunity there? Or you can actually relate it here as well, but how do you think the adversity cultivates growth and opportunity?
Over there, if people here take less risks because they can't afford it, over there they take it to an even higher degree. Where there is opportunity, they will seize it and never let go. And that's the kind of mindset that is honestly very inspiring. When I went there, I met a lot of different types of people, right? I met people who were doctors. I met people who were cab drivers. I met all of them. You know what I mean? And most of the time our conversation was by proxy because I needed a translator. But trust me, I was taking notes on the kind of things that they were telling me. And everyone's always looking for 2 things. And it's quite tragic. But the first thing that they're looking for sometimes is a way out. And it's not just a way out to just get away from everything. When people leave, they work. And when they work, they send money back home to help others. And that's an honorable endeavor. But people are always trying to move up, get out. You'll never see someone truly comfortable in the position that they're in. And that's the kind of hustle that I honestly don't see enough here. It's kind of a strange dichotomy where okay, you have opportunity, but because you didn't grow up in adversity, you're not really going to seize it. But at the same time, you don't want to have so much adversity that you think that the opportunity doesn't exist. I've met a lot of people here in America that think that just money doesn't grow on trees, but it's definitely out here. There's industries that people don't even know about that they can enter, that they can work in. There's things that I didn't know existed 5 years ago. I didn't know that. Take my profession for example, right? I didn't know that in almost every data center there's a team of electricians that is there to install equipment, make sure things are working, and those guys make like $58 an hour.
Yes.
No one knows that. Who knows that? Who knows that, right?
Right. That's a great call out. Great call out, Yohannes. Great call out. I'm like you. And I'm trying to gather my thoughts is here in the States, I subscribe to the education is the surest path to opportunity. So I went in high school, I subscribed to technology, so information technology, my junior and senior year. And of course, when I graduated, I went into computer science, so my undergrad degree was in computer science. My master's degree is in business administration. And you may know this about me. I think we touched on this. I actually have some group homes. I actually have a mortgage note business as well. So February 4th, Yohannes, I start my doctoral pathway. I start my doctoral program.
Let's
So,
go. Telling you.
well, I'm putting that out there because the market doesn't call for that right now. I don't need a doctoral degree.
Mhm.
However, it's something I started back in 2015. It's something like you said, touched on earlier, my mindset. So something about me feels incomplete that I didn't complete that task, 10 years ago, like 10 years now. So one of the things here on this platform, Inspire the Culture Day, I'm real big on education here. So what role has education played in your success, and how is it evolving in Africa that you can kind of recall?
Education in Africa is a very interesting situation. Everyone values it. It's really hard to get in. It's really hard to push up. It's really hard to get a degree. And depending on the country that you go to, sometimes the degree doesn't help. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes there's so much corruption within the educational process that the degree is just invaluable. For example, we don't even need to look at Africa for this situation. There's a really good reason why the FAA won't let people who have a license from Pakistan fly over U.S. airspace. It's because of the fact that they know that Pakistani flight schools are extremely corrupt, and that's not nothing to do with the origin of the country. It's just an objective assessment of the condition of education within that country and how it's going to affect the quality of pilots that you get from the country. There's amazing pilots from that country, of course, but you can't verify the authenticity of it, right? Education, honestly, to me, it's everything, right?
Everything.
There's two perspectives you can have for it. There's actually three very important notes on education I can give. One, it's a rubber stamp, whether you like it. Look, when I left high school, I went to become a mechanic. I mean, and there's a lot of people who may be listening to this, and they're thinking, school's not for me, this and that. And you're right. I get it. I completely get the sentiment, because here in America, whether you're an immigrant or a native or anything, one big reason why people don't take risks here is because there's such an adverse, high level and sticky aspect of cost known as student loan debt that keeps you away from taking that risk. You want to go get those stamps. You want to go get that experience. You want to go pursue this challenge and take that risk. But now you have to think about the financial aspect of it, right? So that keeps people away from pursuing higher education. But it is a stamp. A lot of HR companies will want that bachelor's degree. A lot of HR companies will want your certifications. Depending on your industry, you can't go to the next level without a higher degree of education, whether it's a master's or otherwise. So whether you look at it or not, it's necessary. It's a rubber stamp because the market demands it, and you have to be wary of the debt. And the third point that's really important is the fact that what makes you competitive. I mean, objectively speaking, you can give an amazing interview. I've given interviews, I've taken interviews, I've been all that, right? But at the end of the day, at some point, you're going to have your resume side by side to somebody else, right? They're going to think, if you make a lasting impression in an interview, they're going to have your, face and experience and how you shook someone's hand and everything else, and especially your image, which is very important.
Absolutely,
very important in an interview. Please don't show up with a T-shirt. At least it doesn't matter where you apply. At least have a polo, But at the end of the day, they're going to have it side by side and just go bullet point by bullet point. Okay, does he have a degree? Is he pursuing a degree? What's his story? What I was thinking about this on the car ride home, and I really want to incorporate in this discussion. If anyone can make any point about education, it's the fact that it adds to your story. If you want anything in this world, you got to tell a story, right? And all a job interview is, the first question they ask you is, "Who are you?" Which is a prompt for you to tell me your story. Don't tell me your name and then leave it at that. Don't make me fish for your story and drag it out like this is an awkward first date. That's not what an interview is. I want to know your story. And sometimes the resume can say that without you telling me that, which is why a recruiter picks up the phone and calls you. So if it adds to your story, go ahead and do it. And there are amazing cheap alternatives to add to that story. WGU is a great example. And some people call me cheap. I consider myself cost effective. But it's a very good cost effective alternative towards something like a 4-year university, even in state. I mean,
Absolutely.
James Madison University is $13K a semester. I couldn't believe it when I heard it when I lived near that area. I was like, wow, that's
Absolutely. You know what? I'm just gonna hold everybody accountable. I've been with WGU since September of 2018. And the reason why I bring this up is because I touched on it earlier. Education is the surest path to opportunity.
Mhm.
And the fact that I've been here, my friends, and I'm going to say friends because I said we all cousins, cousins, any type of relative at WGU, they get half off on their tuition. And you just called it out. It's not expensive to attend WGU. And not only that, WGU has a different type of model than your traditional brick and mortar universities.
Yeah.
You're able to accelerate courses into the term after you complete, your initial registration. And the reason why I'm calling it out is because in 6 months, 12-month interval, no more than 18 months, you can change the trajectory of your life, especially in the cybersecurity program. And I know you know about that. Yeah. We have about 10 to 12 certifications in that pathway alone that when you get those, you can update your LinkedIn profile, you can update your resume and get it into a recruiter's hand. And like you said, side by side, this person is pursuing a degree. They're investing in their self-development right now. And not only that, they actually have some industry-leading certifications. So no one in my family has taken me up on an offer yet. So I don't know. I know.
It's frustrating. My friends are the same way. And what's funny is people have a 13.5 millimeter wrench approach towards education, where they think that if they get this tool, it only fits with this solution. If I get a degree in cybersecurity, I can only get a degree in cyber. Not necessarily true. I mean, these are industry certifications that can. I don't even work in cyber right now. I work in data centers. Back when I worked at AWS as a regular data center technician. Now I'm working on the networking side for a completely different company that is a vendor for one of the big names that a lot of people who are watching this probably have heard before, right? And I know that I may or may not enter a cyber role immediately after college, but that's not necessarily something that I'm just laser beaming gunning for. Get in where you fit in and see what you find out. Too many people pre-filter themselves. By the way, if you see smoke, it's incense. It's not like.
Look what I seen it. I was like,
no.
I was like, how you know? You see my eyes look at it?
Yeah. No. Because I saw it get in the camera, but you see that like. Yes. No, I'm not kidding. Though. Like.
Yohannes, I believe you. I just thought something.
I saw it waft, and I was like, oh shit, wait. But a lot of people don't realize how much of a Swiss Army knife education can really be, especially technical education. Business education as well. Actually, that's more of a fuzzier market, I would say. Like the higher end of business and finance, you kind of need to have more elusive rubber stamps. Did you go to an Ivy League school? Do you have your Series 7? Do you have all these other random things that would help you in high level finance or even mid level finance? But something as dynamic as IT or technical education or any sort of education can really help you out. There was one point that you kind of touched on. Yeah, a lot of people leave food on the table. It's a really strange dynamic to really see, and in many ways it's sad, but in other ways it's like, if you leave your opportunities at the door, you kind of remove your right to complain about your current condition. In my opinion, you do. I want to have sympathy. I want to have pity. But you touched on the cost part. It reminded me of this. I know a guy, like Network Plus. I just went and got it.
That's major. Congratulations.
Thank you. A+ for both cores and like free education. Like you only pay for a voucher is $500. Network Plus is $500. I know people that's like 2% of their salary, right? These people make like 90K gross, 100K gross, or whatever. They won't do it. They tell me it's too expensive.
That's small investment, man.
But you're gonna go buy Call of Duty and the new Nike Air Dunks. Not even real shoes. You're gonna buy it for your Fortnite character. Like
even the systems themselves. That's it right there. You buy a PS5 or an Xbox and some controllers or whatever it may be. that investment is your certification
Yeah.
system. Like it could be your net plus, it could be your security plus.
Don't
Like
get
you
me
said,
wrong.
your A plus.
Have your fun, but
Yeah,
there's a degree of balance that comes to it, and I think a lot of people they lose the structure of K through 12 education. There wasn't some sort of external stimulus. And I didn't have this, but for a lot of people, their dad owned a mechanic shop, so they would help them on the weekends. For me, that external stimulus was, this is broken in the house, you're fixing it.
absolutely.
When you grow up poor, that's just kind of what you have to do. I got to know how to dismantle a dryer pretty well. I'll tell you that much. But
Love to hear that.
yeah,
I love it.
I'm not calling anybody if something breaks in the house.
No, no. I totally understand. I resonate with that as well. I was the oldest of four, and when things broke, I was the person to go figure it out. And that's what really made me get into kind of like IT. And what ended up happening is my mom bought a compact Presario for Christmas one year, and I know I'm showing my age.
Back in the day, a compact before the Hewlett Packard acquisition, man. Yeah,
exactly. And not only that, we had one in our home, and my mom thrust me into that one of maintaining it and different things of that nature. So I was intrigued early on. So that's what kind of sparked my passion for IT. And I know you said something real profound. Here's where I'm trying to make the connection. Mm-hmm. I subscribed to the IT early on, but as I started to matriculate through my career, I learned that here in the States, you have to have some business. You have to have like a business, you have to have an idea of how business work, how people work, how organizations evolve, how they take and grow companies. So that was something that, I went and got a Project Plus certification. I got an IT certification.
Project Plus.
Exactly. Exactly. So it kind of dwarfed into that there. And then once I figured out like these certifications and working as a business analyst, I wasn't truly using my IT degree, but I was the middleman. I was the value. I was the middleman between the IT team and the actual business itself. And what I'm getting at is kind of like, you kind of touched on it earlier here a bit, but what advice would you give someone who feels stuck or unsure of how to grow in their personal or professional life?
It all adds up. I'm not kidding. It all adds up. You never know when it's going to come in handy, but it all adds up.
Absolutely.
Here, let me give you an example. I know a guy who I worked with at AWS. He spent 10 years in restaurant management, right? Now, I have this term, and I don't like using the term, but the term is known as PERMA, short for permanent, right? PERMA is a sort of state of mind. It's a sort of state of condition. But the thing is, it's not a permanent state of condition. What I mean is, let's say you have someone who is, I don't know, working at a warehouse or something. I've worked at warehouses. I'm only pointing to examples that I've had. So don't get me as like some classist person. I've worked these jobs. But like if they work at a restaurant for 10 years and within those 10 years, there's no ambition to not level up within the restaurant, but branch out to a different career, really diversified. There's no plan. It's more so this is income coming in. There's this one internet term called NEET, NEET, not in education, employment, and training. But I have a new term called UNETs, underemployed, and you're not in education or training, right? It's not as bad. You're making money. You can pay your rent, but there's no sort of trajectory towards something different or upward. Right. That's a difficult position to be in as well. But I knew this guy. He spent 10 years in a restaurant. In a restaurant, he became manager of that restaurant. He never became GM. He never became regional. Nothing. Right? He quit, became a data center technician with me at AWS, and his phone would get blown up when he updated his LinkedIn, when he updated his Indeed and his resume and stuff like that, and just had AWS on the name. His phone blew up. Hey, we're ready to hire you as a manager for a data center. Hey, we're ready to do this. Hey, we're ready to do that. 40% of the managers for the data centers that I worked in that region worked from restaurants. They didn't start up in IT. They were all in restaurants.
Wow.
And that kind of created a sort of disconnect towards how they saw us and how they like understood how difficult our job was, but
Mhm.
at the same time, you never know when that pivot can really occur and how it can add up. Management experience is management experience, sales
Yeah.
experience is sales experience. If I were to start a firm, the first person I'm going to hire is a car salesman, because those people, they know how to talk to people. Communication is key. They know how to, they're clients facing, everything, that all that's valuable. It doesn't matter how stuck you feel. At some point, it'll add up, but you have to make the pivot.
Wow. I love the example, and all I can think about is mentors. Like, mentors are mission critical in life. You have to find someone that you can see yourself being in their shoes, or vision yourself, or kind of believe that you can actually achieve that there. And working multiple positions, to me, you have some intangible skill sets that will be built regardless of what industry that you're in. They're going to be transferable between each industry there. So great call out with the managers who was able to pivot and leverage their experience.
Who
And
sees that? Not to interrupt you. You know who sees that the most? You know who sees the pivot the most?
Ooh.
Recruiters. Recruiters see the pivot the most. Recruiters see a story before it even happens. Those guys, not only do they have an eye for talent, they have an eye for potential. And my biggest gripe with some people, and I'm thinking of friends that I've tried to toss the plate, the ball to, and they kind of when people pre-filter themselves, when people don't even apply, they don't let the recruiter see the potential. They don't let them build a narrative, build a story, see where they can pivot to. They don't. That's the most toxic part. If you want to pivot, you have to throw the ball at some point. You can't just freeze. You can't just say, oh, they won't accept me because I don't have this, this, and that. No.
Exactly.
They're seeing the pivot in your story. They might even give you that chance.
Exactly.
I'm a living testament. I pick up the phone one day and they're like, hey, AWS, and I'm like, huh, yeah, sure.
I believe it. I believe it because it's one of those things where when I'm speaking to my students and they pass the first half of the A+, like the 1101 or 1102, whatever portion they do first, and then they update their LinkedIn resume, they have this big thing where, especially Amazon students, they want to stay loyal to Amazon.
Hell no.
Yo,
I'm not just saying that because I left. I'm like, no, dude. Don't stay loyal to any company.
I try to tell them all the time. It's not so much all the time. It's more so, Yohannes, where it goes back to mindset. Is more like, how I'm going to pay for my schooling, because they have that partnership with WGU. So that's all they're thinking about. How can I continue this? I'm like, look, your degree at WGU is always going to be here. Yeah. Not saying your next employee may have some kind of employee, some type of what is it called when they have the employee like kickback for it, like the programs that they have. Yes,
career choice.
Career choice and all those things there.
Some people can. It's strange, the difference between the mind and the soul and the heart. Some people can encapsulate and can truly understand that they have a golden handcuff on their hands, but never let go of it. Before I left, I had one more issuance of RSUs, right? But then I got the offer from the other job. So I had two things in my hand. I can take the second job and leave Amazon, or stay an extra 2 months, 3 months and collect RSUs. And I thought to myself, well, something, that's not, but then I would have to stay at Amazon. That's one of the biggest disconnects there. And when I told my team, who I love my team. I don't think I'll ever find a better team. Those guys are the boys. Those guys are great. When I told my team I was leaving, one person told me, hey, look, you have RSUs coming up. Why don't you stay for that? And I said, listen, I can't stay for that simply based on the fact that I wouldn't be comfortable with myself passing up on a potential Hail Mary home run. Not even Hail Mary home run. I'm passing up on future opportunities just to stay here for a quick check. Right? Just that then I'm really giving away my ability to move and pivot, which is so important to anyone.
Absolutely.
I'm not an economic cowboy anymore, which is a term I have for anyone that can go do anything, go make any money, go do anywhere. I knew a guy. This was so crazy.
Cowboy, I like that.
Yeah. They got to follow the buffalo, right? I knew this guy. This was so nuts. When I was in aviation school, this guy, he always wanted to move to Alaska, but during COVID, nobody was hiring. A small outfit in West Virginia hit him up. He says, hey, you got to go. And we were down in Harrisonburg, Virginia, near Richmond area, So that was a big move. And his girlfriend at the time was like, well, I'm not, going to move with you to West Virginia. I want to stay in Virginia. Bye. That's what he said. Yeah, I was like, wow, well, like that's crazy. And guess what? 3 months later, he got his job got another job at Alaska. This guy, nothing could stop this dude. I was like, wow, like that's nuts. I don't see myself doing that. But there's people who aren't even in that situation, who could be doing major moves like that, who could really be advancing, who could just pack up a suitcase and go, and they're not. Something's keeping them there.
Ooh, that's a great example. Great example. You made me think about something. During COVID, you saw a lot with IT professionals, meaning they'll get hired new in a space, and they will every 6, let's say 3 to 8 months, they will actually transition to another IT job. So when a layoff started to happen, of course, they're going to be the first ones to get cut because of their high salary. I didn't even know that was a thing until I actually started watching. I was watching, I think, like CNN or something of that nature, and they were talking about the IT positions and how people can level up in anywhere from 12 to 18 months, where it looks bad because you don't have some tenure here at the different companies and the firms. But overall, people were going into these roles, stay there for 3 months, find another position and maybe add $20,000 to their salary, find another position and kind of work their way up there. And I didn't know that was a thing until I started hearing it from some of the WGU students in the computer science program at that time. But man, great call outs.
I think the whole labor industry in general is moving away from the baby boomer mindset of stay at a company for 40 years.
Yep.
And moving more towards 4 years maximum. And statistically speaking, you're going to make less money if you stay.
Yep.
The best raise you can ever give yourself is to change jobs, and it's a sad state of affairs. But I mean, why would a company give you 20% to keep you when another company can give you 30 to get you on board? To poach them.
Absolutely. Anywhere from 3 to 4 years.
Recruiters love headhunting and poaching.
Mm-hmm.
I treat my LinkedIn like Discord. I hit up recruiters all the time. I just love talking to them because I know people who need jobs.
I can't say that. I can't say it on here, but I practice all the time. Like when people reach out to me and they'll say, "Hey, I noticed that you are an asset manager. However, have you thought about this?" And I'll interview for it just so I can stay fresh and get that feeling. Like when you interview for something, it's a different type of ramp up. Especially if you need it. You're gonna have a different attitude, you're going to drink coffee that day. You're going to work out. You're going to have those butterflies in your stomach, because you really need it and you have to stay sharp, So it's not necessarily that I'm taking opportunities away from other individuals when it comes to offers or anything of that nature, but we have to stay ready. You have to stay ready. Let me ask you this. You did a lot of traveling. I know you was there in Africa for some time. If I was visiting for the first time, what is one dish that I absolutely must try?
You don't even have to go to Africa to eat this. I think one of the best Ethiopian food is in the DC metro area. Injera bawats, and then you have two choices, beef and chicken. Both bangers. Falls Church, Virginia, Nazareth restaurant, order the Quanta Furfur beef dish. Magnifique. Amazing. I love it. The food there was different though. It was phenomenal.
Really?
I think the food here in America versus back home, dude, people can talk about it for hours.
Yes.
There's definitely a difference in quality. People who haven't traveled, they don't get it. When I went to Germany, it was different. It was amazing. When I went to Ethiopia, it was different. It was amazing. I don't know what it is, man. I guess it's just something in the water, or something in the in the GMOs or something. Who knows? But it does affect the taste. I think it's free range versus cooped up, stressed, cortisol ridden. But
absolutely.
Yeah, if you ever go back there, if you ever go to Ethiopia, man, any food is good. Even the American food is good.
I believe it. So I'll share this with you. You probably don't know this because I probably never talked to you about it. But my wife is Nigerian. She's half Nigerian. So when we first started dating, 8 to 10 years ago, we she introduced me to some dishes here, like a goose, jollof rice, some red stew, okra, like okra stew and obono soup and different things of that nature. And the reason why I'm saying that is I'll never forget, her dad comes from royalty, and we were hanging out for the first time in everyone was using the pendy yams, and they call it fufu here in the States here, but the pendy yam here, I was using a fork and different things of that nature. He like, no, be a man, and I was like, huh? Call me out on my masculinity and everything. I said, be a man.
Yeah, use your hands. Yeah,
exactly. So I could believe it. I just need to know the name. Like you just said it. I might need you to put that in the chat. For everyone.
I think where you're at has some pretty good. Like there's a good Ethiopian diaspora over there too. And strangely enough, like Minnesota has a big Ethiopian diaspora, which is crazy to me because we hate the cold. Really? I'm like, what are you like? My cousin, she was here about like 3 weeks ago, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking to go to the University of St. Paul because she lives out there. I'm like, what? Why do you guys like Minnesota? I like it because I like to go outdoors. You're gonna catch me, ice fishing and everything. That's me. I'm weird. Whatever. Why do you like it? You guys hate the cold.
Yeah, I don't like cold no more. That was one of the reasons why we moved from Chicago. I'm originally from Ohio, and those winters in like even right now, like they're having a lot of snow. And I'm in Georgia right now, and Georgia doesn't have the infrastructure for ice roads, and I don't care if it's 2 inches of snow. They don't have the infrastructure to put down salt and different things of that nature. And if you're a native of the South, you really don't know how to drive in it as well. So I think this upcoming Thursday or Friday, they are going to close the schools for the children. And we know anytime you have any closures over 3, they add it on to the end of the school year. So I'm not looking forward to that. So I hope they do have. Now, if it's cold, Your Highness, I don't mind. Like close the schools because you have to consider people, kids and children walking to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Of course, they have layers on the different things of that nature, but still a level of like wind chill, wind blowing real hard, and the exposure to that cold there. So, what is your favorite place in the world that inspires you the most? You touched on quite a few places here. I know you well traveled, but what is your favorite place in the world that inspires you?
A lot of my friends are going to hear this and they're going to think I'm crazy. But where I live like right now in Northern Virginia, inspiring. I'm serious. I'm so serious. It's inspiring. You want to know why? Here, you can't mess around. You don't mess around. I'm so serious. People look, don't get me wrong. Like in Atlanta, I'm sure this is the case where you kind of have like a very hyper competitive labor market, et cetera. But there is affordable housing in certain parts of Atlanta. Here in Northern, if you want affordable housing here, you're gonna have to drive like 50 minutes to work, 40 minutes to work. The DC metro area, especially in the Northern Virginia side, is not a joke. You do not.
I heard about that.
Do you know what the football team at George Mason University is?
Tell me more.
There's none. That's how serious they are about school. There is no football team. They don't mess around. They don't play. Here is, dude, I'm telling you, here is an amazing place because you talk to so many different people who do so many different things, and you're like, what even is that? There's a now this is an attraction. This is local. Great Falls, Virginia, Katie's Cars and Coffee every Saturday morning. Have you ever read a car magazine? Like pictures of exotic cars and stuff like that? You know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah, I follow.
Don't read it. Just go there. You'll see people in Koenigsegg's, you'll see McLaren's, everything.
Really?
Every rich person with every rich toy will show up to Katie's and Car and Coffee, and they'll talk. You'll bump shoulders. It's amazing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I love people that like you kind of run into them and you ask an open-ended question, and then they just kind of tell you about like how they arrived at the point where they are. Like I will listen for hours, and you're one of those individuals. For you to only be 24 years old, like, man, you different, man.
Sometimes I think it really is an area thing. Like, let me put it this way, and I have to be really careful how I say this. At some point, if you walk into a Starbucks, there's a good chance that you are in the same Starbucks as the CEO of the company who owns that entire block of the city that you're in, like that entire area that you're in. And it was really funny because I went to a holiday party, and I didn't really know like a lot of people there and stuff like that. It was very stuffy. And but I my girlfriend invited me. It was like a holiday thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's so and so's name. I'm like, that sounds so familiar, right? And she's like, yeah, she's the wife of the CEO of blah 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 company. I'm like, what? Right?
Wow.
And then her husband comes over. It's like, hey, hi, how you doing? What's up?
Wow.
Like, dude, this area is not a joke. This area, it's very inspirational. It's the kind of area where you'll go to a stoplight, you'll see a BMW X4 and just yawn, like a Tesla here, whatever,
Yeah.
I've seen an Aston Martin in the parking lot of a Chipotle. Like here is just so. It's filled with wealth. It's filled with competition. It's filled with, to a degree, opportunity, but at the same time, it gives you kind of like a taste of what life can really be. And if you take, like, how like someone from New York will go to like another metropolitan like Indianapolis and just own it, just set up shop, just kill it, whatever, right? They carpet bag like crazy. Nova's exactly like that. Exactly like that, and you meet a lot of crazy people just really getting after it. It's very inspirational.
Absolutely. You made me think about something. My mentor was adamant about us. And when I say us, meaning the people that he was kind of coaching and different things of nature, he was really adamant about being being intentional of the gyms that you actually pick, because a lot of CFOs and CEOs and different things of nature, they're really invested in their health. And like you said, you run into those individuals at those gyms. So being intentional in the area that you actually go to work out, and you actually see these people on a routine base. And most of the time, you will have a conversation. And us men, we can make a bond in, 2 to 3 seconds.
No, you know something, you just reminded me. I went to this gym once, and this guy, he was benching 3 plates, and he's like, yo, can you spot me? The hell am I going to spot you for? I'm not going to help you. But, I spot him. We start chatting. He's like, oh yeah, like I'm in investment banking, whatever, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it changed my perspective, because it's like, this guy, he put in the work. He's working long hours. What he does is not a joke, and he still cares about his health. When people give you a very low watermark of like, dude, I work 40 hours, man. I can't like, take care of myself, go to the gym, bro.
Yeah.
Forget the upper end of those watermarks. You'll meet people, and I mentioned this in a couple of videos that I made. You'll meet single mothers that raise 2 kids, 3 kids. They work 40, 60 hours a week. They still get their degree.
Yeah.
They still keep up with their health. They still cook at home. Like, there's superheroes out there, and you have something they don't, time, and you're not spending it, man.
Yohannes, you own something, man. You're only 24.
I don't think so, buddy. There's people out there, dude. I'm not going to spend $40 on a polo.
Right.
It's not about the cost. It's about the value. You show up to a job interview with that $40 polo. You might walk out with it just because you're showing up. You're happy. You're smiling. You got stories. You're telling your story well. Your image is there. You wear a nice watch. This is a cheap Casio, but everyone wears. Most of the time, people don't wear anything. But who wears this yet retro stuff? I don't know.
Well, I do. I don't have it on right now, but I have a Casio, but I have the calculator watch. I don't have it on right now. Yes, I don't have it on right now. I don't have it on right now, but it's definitely out. Next time we do an interview, because I'm pretty sure we'll have a follow-up one.
Images. This is a used $25 Casio Duro, but you would know that looking at it from 5 feet away. But it adds a touch of flair to it.
Absolutely.
If the thing is, if we're really being real among men, you don't have to sell this concept to someone when we're discussing how to attract someone in our life, right? Okay, it clicks. You don't have to spell it out, right? But when it comes to certain things like a job interview or education, it's all the same blueprint.
Yeah.
It is all, like, the blueprint for success is it rhymes. It's not the same, but it rhymes.
Yes. Education, mentorship, and coaching them on innovation and getting their mindset right, and hopefully it aligns with their purpose, their values, their goals and beliefs, all that kind of mixed up. That's a recipe for success here. So I'm real big on that there. And one of the things is I'll never forget. I had someone last week book a meeting with me, and they paid the money for the consultation, and it was more so around the coaching, like the package. And it wasn't so much the cost. And I'm not trying to sell you on a cost. It's the value add. And here's the value that it will actually bring to you and the impact. You touched on it earlier. Someone will go buy a gaming system, $400 to $500, and that's the same price as a certification there. So my point is, I don't never discuss price points for everybody. I just discuss the value add that's going to bring to their career or their life overall. And the people who understands it and gets it early on, they're the easiest ones to coach. But the ones that worry about the price, I know you're not going to be a good fit for me, because I know most adults over the age of 32, they don't, they're stuck in their ways, Yohannes. They're stuck in their ways.
Yeah, but it's funny. I would like to think that way. And I know when you're trying to convince someone of an idea, that age comes like the biggest thing in their head is their age. I've been this way forever. Is there really a way to change for me from becoming a NEET to a UNET or whatever? Dude, there's people who come to this country at like 30.
Yep.
At 32. I hate when a peer says that 25 is old, bruh. Old, right? Too late. I didn't get my career done on the first try, bruh. What are you? But still, people come here at 35, 37, and you're way ahead of them. You know the language. I think everyone needs an immigrant friend. It puts everything in perspective.
I agree. Or well traveled. If you can go. The very first trip, my wife and I, we went to India. We went to Bali, and and those individuals, they were talking about the impact of their economy during COVID, because it's a heavy tourist. It's a heavy tourist, area. A lot of them lost their farms, and our tour guide was talking about how they survived on rice for 3 years. For those 36 months, man, they survived on rice, and they lost everything. They lost their farms. They lost, portions of their family, because their family had to go move somewhere else while they stayed back and kind of grind things out and kind of figure things out. And that perspective and hearing that individual, because what happened was when he took us to a restaurant, he was he didn't want to dine with us, and we had to let him know, like, hey man, it's okay, we'll pay for it. So and I didn't know that was something that he wasn't used to that, in their culture or anything of that nature. So my point is, that was like the first eye opener. And then I think like that following summer or that spring, we went to Australia, and I was like, whoa, like it was just different. Like if you well travel and you start to be around other people, and I don't mean just people in general when it comes to, I mean people in general when it comes to color, race, whatever it may be, other humans. And when you have a exposure to something else, it just broadens your horizon. You got to be receptive as well. You have to be able to step out of your norm and have those conversations, because
you got to be weird.
Yes.
Be weird. I hate being. Why be normal?
Exactly. In Australia, Yohannes, I actually had a Chinese Uber driver, and she was talking about how she preferred Australia over United States, and she touched on the classism and the racism, and how in Australia they didn't have that, and how she was able to thrive in different things of that nature. So when having those conversations and those exposures and being in the environment and seeing it real time, that changed my mindset when it comes to a lot of my interactions, and even how I interact with my students as well. Even then, which brings me to another question here. I know, we're coming up on some time here, so I have a question. Africa has a vibrant music and art scene, and even here in the States, is there a song, an artist, or a tradition that represents the spirit of your culture?
I'm going to bridge the ancient to the modern. I'm going to say Teddy Afro, really good artist. A lot of his stuff is, love songs, inspiration, a lot of political protests. It touches on the sort of conflict and divide that has been going on in Ethiopia and still goes on there. That's for sure. Music's very important. I tell you what, back home, it's very important. It's a way of letting loose. It's a way of de-stressing. Everyone needs it. I think music is vital.
Yes.
Even here.
Yes. Any kind of music changes your vibration. No matter whatever type of music you listen to, it changes your vibration and puts you in a different mindset.
I try not, unless I'm in the gym and I'm really going, I try not to listen to like hyper aggressive, just you know, like
I agree.
Like it's kind of like it's kind of listening to like war drums back in the day or something when you're a Viking. It's like you can't be amped all the time.
All the time. It's not good for you. It's not good for you.
No.
You turned up.
You're gonna run into a lot of things. But yeah, I know we're coming up on some time. If I'm gonna leave anyone with some ideas, this place is the best. The US is the best. No nothing. Right? Yeah. There's no debate. I'm not here to debate. It's a chocolate factory. And there's a scene in the Wolf of Wall Street that I love, where he's trying to get the guy's shoes company IPO'd so he can offload shares on the general public and make a lot of money, right? And he's like, "This guy's our ticket to the chocolate factory, and I want to dance with the Oompa Loompas," right? That's how I see the U.S., right? I have a golden ticket. I'm going to use it, but don't burn it. Don't burn it. Don't let it collect dust. Don't not seize the opportunity for what it is, because I'm no different than a lot of people listening to this. I play Planet Side too. You want to see my Steam hours? I have 500 hours on Rainbow Six Siege. It's a scary feeling to think that someone at the place that you want to be, maybe it's me, maybe it's somebody else, maybe it's someone higher than you, is just like you. I played with this guy. And okay, last point. You're talking about mentorship a while back, and you kind of want someone that is higher than you that you can kind of aspire to be and show you what's possible. Those are the pros of it. Absolutely. Here's a pitfall that people have to watch out for, because it fell into me. It can breed resentment. It really can. Yes. I knew a guy who I'm friends with now, right? I was friends with before, but I would call him a true friend now. He's GS14, GS13 or 14 in the government. If you know, that's a lot of money. You know, this guy drives an Audi A6, or actually S6 actually. And oh yeah, side point, don't get a crazy car, please. That's the biggest mistake.
Right. Like, I want to go to EV route. Yohannes, I'm doing it so hard.
Yeah, but you're okay. I don't have any qualms with you doing it. But if you're 21 and you're buying, I knew this guy, 21 years old. I come back from a vacation in Florida, right? He's like, Yohannes, dude. He's working at AWS. He's making a little bit of that tech money, right? Just kidding. I got a new car. I'm like, oh my God, please. By the way, he commutes from Baltimore, like Northeast Baltimore, to South Nova. Like that is,
what's that? Hour and a half, 2 hours?
Yes, right. Wow. So I'm like, okay, you better have gotten a Prius, right?
Yeah, right. You got to get some of that fuel efficient. You better got a Prius.
My friend who's GS13, he's driving an Audi S6. He tells me, bro, I got a 2021 Audi A6. And I'm like, did you get gap insurance? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, how much is that a month? $1,200.
Wow.
What are you? Dude, there's so many ways to sell the ticket. There's so many ways to sell the bag. Don't do it. But back on my friend, right? At the beginning, when I was still, before I pivoted careers and really opened up my mind to opportunity and the ability for me to seize it, I saw his success as not only possible, but not for me, right? There was a disparity in race, so I started to blame that. That's horseshit, to be honest with you. You can be black and be president of the United States. It's possible. Anything is, to be honest. There's, obviously there's some stipulations there. You may not be mayor of some, town in Mississippi, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of things are possible.
Right.
But, I was like, damn, I want to be like him. He's making this money. He's making this government money, whatever. And it turned into resent, and we drifted apart. And I realized how annoying and kind of not just disingenuous, how unfair it is for me to view him in that light. And we started being friends more, and I started to build myself more. And now we're, no qualms. I consider that mindset that I had before to be extremely cringe. And you don't want to fall into that pit when you're seeking out higher mentorship. That's for sure.
That's a great call out. That's a great point. You made me think of something here to recall something. You talked on the series 663 and different things of that nature. And
for
yes, yeah,
investment banking. Yeah.
yeah, all that there. And I ended up getting my life insurance license here. And I remember doing the exam and passing and different things of that nature. And the guy is he was in my fraternity. And not only was he in my fraternity, he was doing exceptionally well.
Mhm.
But I quickly realized, maybe about 18 months into it, that I am not operating within my gifts and my purpose. Like, I'm trying to do and replicate something that he has, like what he's doing was totally made sense. You know, when I saw him do it at the bare minimum, I'm like, man, that'll work for me. But then I quickly realized I work remote. I'm not a true people person. So if you're not really talking to me or engaging or look like you want to say something to me, I'm not even engaging where I can.
It takes a lot to draw it out, you know.
Exactly.
Especially,
And I was like, you know what?
Especially for us techies, bro.
Yes.
Soft skills and being an extrovert, like switching that, flipping that switch. Oh man, it's something that is vital. It stands you out.
Exactly.
You could be, and I've seen this, the smartest guy in the interview stack, but if you can't vibe,
exactly. And like you said, your mindset, I don't want to identify as that, but I actually know my weaknesses, you know. So I purposely know, like, okay, I have to ramp myself up for this interview and practice in a setting and convince myself that this is a real interview, and to kind of be open, you know, making sure that I'm not using fillers and taking a second and kind of think about what they're saying, making sure that I answer it using a SMART goal or something of that nature. You know how it is, you know, because that way when the time do come, like, you're ready. You don't got to get ready.
That's true.
You don't got to get ready here.
There's two types of interviews from my experience. There's the interview where the other person is trying to check a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which he's trying to make it as enjoyable as possible. So you should try to make it as enjoyable as possible to them, right? Don't make it like don't make the interview feel like sandpaper. And then there's the interview where, yeah, I'm checking boxes in my mind, but passively, I'm mostly going to be your direct person, and I want to see if I can work with you. I'm not going to tell you that. You know, the two things I want to know is, are you trainable? Especially if you have certs. If you have certs, dude, you just have like the minimum qualifications. It doesn't mean you know anything.
Exactly.
Are you trainable, and can I vibe with you? Those are the two factors you need to approach any interview with.
Absolutely, man. Great call outs. Great call outs here. Yohannes, man, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights with us today.
Appreciate it.
Man, your journey is a testament of power, you know, resilience, creativity, the human spirit overall. Man, I love it. I appreciate you sharing today.
If it touches one person, if it changes one person's perspective, one person's attitude, you know what? Think about it. An hour of my time to change someone's, you know, perspective on this and that, maybe it cascades into a lifetime of change, is well worth it to me. Absolutely.
I appreciate you even just being on here.
If anyone has any questions, just mention, hey, I saw you on this interview. Send me an email. We'll talk.
Absolutely. And again, to all the listeners, you know, if today's episode inspired you, you can visit Inspire to Cultivate to learn more about how to grow, connect, and make an impact in your own life. Or you could visit the YouTube page and you could visit the YouTube page to kind of catch up here and connect with Yohannes as well. So his handle or his contact information is going to be his email address there. So you actually have that email where you can kind of just reach out to him and kind of pick his brains. And if it's something where, you believe and know in your heart that he is a good fit for a consultation, a mentor, or a coach, to me, mentoring and coaching a little bit different, but that's a different conversation. Definitely reach out to Yohannes there. Thank you for tuning in. And remember, growth is a journey and not a destination. So until next time, keep cultivating your dreams.
Absolutely. Bye now.
Thanks.